Oh, we just come straight into it hot, huh?
We are. We're straight in. Let's go. Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Welcome.
Hello.
Now,
I
I
should
just want
turn
to say
chat
one thing. A dingo ate my baby. Welcome, everyone. And we have some special guests today.
Yes.
We have lots of special guests. And we might have just had a little tiny bit of echo. I don't know. But
I don't
we
hear
have
anything.
I don't hear it.
oh, good. We have the lovely Steve Gosney, Dali Talk,
Yes.
Jamie, and Making Law Simple. Hello, Making Law
Hello,
Simple.
hello.
Is that your name now?
I don't know why I put that on there, but yes. I think I put it on there for laid back once, last
Oh.
Friday. And so
Yeah.
now I just didn't change it at all. But no, this is exciting. I'm excited to be on your third or fourth stream. No, I don't know. You've been streaming for a little bit, but
I've actually there's been a few, but
Yeah.
not that
I think this is like her
many.
first solo one.
No, I've had a couple of ones that are solo, but this is the one I've had the most guests for, I think. And we'll see if anyone else pops in because I have a couple of other invites out. But today is actually the follow-up to my very first pre-record that I put up, which was about the dingo ate my baby, which I didn't realize. And this is thanks to Old Line Red. I've got to give a shout out to Old Line Red because Old Line Red was the person who told me, hello, Old Line Red. Hello.
Speak of the devil.
There you are. Speaking of the devil. Hello. Old Line Red was the one who told me, excited, you need to do something about the Lindy Chamberlain case. And I said, the dingo ate my baby. And then, Jamie, was it you who said, I didn't think that was a real thing.
I didn't.
Right? Yeah, you didn't even think it was a real thing.
I thought it was
a
line from Seinfeld. That's what I thought.
You thought it was a line from Seinfeld. I didn't realize it. Then people in chat were like, yeah, I didn't realize it was a real thing. And it occurred to me, okay, people don't know this is real.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to get a little bit of an idea from chat. Nick, are you going to be coming in, are you?
he says so.
Great.
Hey, he is going to be joining us. Fantastic.
Awesome.
Yes. All right. So, yeah, people didn't realize it was real. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys something. And we're going to be going today through a little bit of the background of the case because I've already done a pre-record on this. So I have actually tried to prove to you guys that at least the case is real. I'm not going to try and convince you that my country is real because jury's out on that one. Yeah, jury is out on that one. But what I am going to do is tell you a bit about this case because it's going to blow your mind.
Steve, have you heard about any of the prosecuting or the policing in this case at all?
Well, I'll tell you, when she invited me on, I didn't know that it was a real case either.
Oh,
and I did a lot of research on it.
You wrote a book on it?
I did some research on it. Like Jamie said, I just thought it was a Seinfeld joke.
Yeah.
But then when I did the research on it, I see that my takeaway from what I looked at is that it is an example of faux science and fake experts convicting somebody. And then one of the things that struck me also is how the prosecutors painted a picture, a detailed picture of what they theorized happened with absolutely no evidence to back up what they were saying. So they would, from the evidence was, they would say, well, this person took, there it is. That's great.
Yeah.
I can't hear
the baby.
Your dingo ate the baby. Yeah.
Who ate your baby? You know that's a true story. Lady lost a kid.
No, hang on. I have to go to the beginning.
I think I hear a dingo eating your baby.
Yeah, well, I've lost my fiancé.
There it is.
Poor baby.
Maybe the dingo ate your baby.
It was on this
I'm
as
sorry,
well.
a dingo ate your baby.
You know that's a true story. Lady lost a kid.
I'm going to change the layout in a minute because my
fine.
face is covered.
Dingo's got the baby.
Now this is in a minute. Hang on. That's Meryl Streep playing the part.
The dingo's got my baby.
Although there wasn't time to go and tell people. I just yelled out, "Has anyone got a torch?"
This is the real thing. Okay. So what I just like to do now is change over to this layout here.
There you go.
There we go. Alrighty. See,
Why
Really
is
is
it not
sad.
funny at all? But
it's
there's
not.
something just about
No.
the phrase that's so funny because when you put it, you can meld the dingo,
Yeah.
you know, and then which is very Australian. Then you put that Australian accent on it.
Yeah.
It's just it's so absurd. I don't know. The humor
Yeah.
is fascinating. Why is this funny?
I
Hi, Brian.
was laughing because I didn't know it was
Yeah.
real. And then she told
No, I-
me and was telling
I
me
knew
about
it was
I'm like,
real,
Wow.
but I thought
Are you
it was
serious?
fake. I knew it was real and like a woman was convicted. I didn't know she was exonerated.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just going to lose your mind when you hear
Yeah.
what's happened to this woman, right? And okay, so that was the first time that she said those words when you saw that little bit of video there. In fact, well, it was the first time she was captured on camera saying those words. But basically, what happened was the baby was 9-week-old Azaria Chamberlain. There she is with her baby. And her mum was Lindy Chamberlain, this lady here. All right, so let's get going. All righty. So I have a lot of little tiny snippets of footage. It's not a very long video. Now, they were holidaying here. There's Uluru, Ayers Rock. Is everyone aware of where Ayers Rock is? Have you seen,
That is
you
one
know
of the
about Ayers
places
Rock?
I would love to go visit. I've always been intrigued by Ayers Rock.
Yeah, so it's right in the middle of Australia. And there it is. There's
Oh,
Ayers
isn't that
Rock.
amazing? Look at that.
Wow.
It's
So
That's
beautiful.
beautiful.
Can you
That
climb
is
it?
one. Pardon? Can you climb it? Good question. Okay, so
Quickly,
you're
if
not
it
allowed to
goes
climb it
after you.
anymore. Right? You're not allowed to
Really?
climb it anymore. Yes. Okay. Here's the reason. It is of it's considered an Indigenous icon. So it's a sacred place.
Was it built?
For, pardon?
It's
No.
natural,
No, it
right?
wasn't built.
It's natural.
It's natural.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's a natural
Okay.
natural occurrence. So it's actually kind of like a tree in that there's more of it underground than there is above ground.
Interesting.
So it's an amazing thing, and it's like as tall as the Chrysler Building, and I'm like, can't even remember. Like it's like 8 miles long or something like that. It's
Wow.
absolutely huge, huge. Try and do my Trump impression. Okay, and no, you're not allowed to climb it anymore, but back then you could. And also, by the way, it's no longer called Ayers Rock. It's now called Uluru. Reason being, our
BC.
First Nations people, our First Nations people, they have renamed it. Well, it was always called Uluru in Aboriginal language. And so we are going through the process of renaming many of our native areas. So it's now called Uluru, but back then it was called Ayers Rock. And no, you cannot climb it anymore. That happened in 2019, I believe.
sort of like
You could
Mount
back then.
McKinley. You know Mount McKinley in Alaska?
Yeah.
You can't. No.
Has it been renamed?
Yes.
Ah,
What
We
is
got
it?
that Squaw Peak here in Arizona, a mountain, and was name of a freeway, but it's a slang term in Indian or to Indians. It's a dirty word. So they just named it Piestewa Peak, I think.
okay.
Huh.
Well, this
McKinley
actually,
is now called Denali. Denali.
Of course.
what you bring up
Denali.
there about the climbing is actually a really important point, and we're going to come
Nick.
back to it later. So thank you. Hello, Nick.
Hey,
Nick is
I made
here.
it.
You made it. You made it down under. Congratulations. Well done. All right. So we're just talking about Ayers Rock. There's Ayers Rock.
Hmm.
Cool looking thing. And you can't climb it anymore, but you could before. All right, keeping going.
And one thing I learned is that there are dingoes that live near Ayers Rock.
Oh, there are. Trust
Oh,
me, there
apparently.
are. Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty.
But you can pet 'em,
moving
right?
on. You could try and pet them, or if you want to get your hand bitten off.
They introduced wild dogs or dogs in Australia because of a rabbit problem, I heard. And they introduced a rabbit problem because of something else. And now you have a rabbit problem and a dingo problem.
Is that why? Dingoes are not natural?
What? No. Dingoes
Or-
are absolutely native here.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I think it was a frog and then a rabbit and then I don't know. It's a weird thing.
Okay. So here are the Chamberlain family actually on their way to Ayers Rock in August of 1980. Now, at real photo, them in their yellow Tirana, we call them Tories here.
Isn't that
And
like
that's
what Mad Max used to ride?
Yeah, such a cool car. Look at it. It's amazing. And that actual car has been done up now. I think it's in a museum somewhere.
Seriously?
Yeah, serious. It's awesome. Like they're collector's items, these ones. It's a coupe. Imagine trying to get three kids, including a little tiny baby, into that thing. And
Sounds like a motive right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's
80s were a simpler time.
Well, it's going to come to you
Seatbelt's
later.
optional.
So they're on their way in the infamous yellow Tory. There it is there. So go ahead and use your co-host powers if you want to highlight chats.
Oh, okay.
Yep. There
Well,
it
how'd you
is.
give?
Moving on.
We have to talk about that.
Yeah, Sal and I are co-hosts of each other's stream yard, so we can in fact
Oh, okay.
we can use all the powers. We have all the powers of each other's stream yards. Okay, so Uluru is the major tourist spot in the Northern Territory, and that's important. Okay, so there's Mount Ayer up here. And that's on the right in the top part of Queensland. So if you look on the very right of the map, there's a little part that's highlighted. That's where they live. Now, down in the middle, where I was pointing at before, that is where Uluru is. So they travelled all the way down to there. So that's important. It's a major tourist spot. Now, there we go, Uluru, Ayers Rock. Now, major tourist spot. And the thing about that is, I just wanted to also point out that the Northern Territory is a territory, and every other part, except for ACT, which is where the capital of our country, Canberra, is, every other part of the country that's bordered off, and you can see the borders there, they're states. Now, the Northern Territory was actually wanting to become a state. It had been self-governing at that time for 3 years. And they were hoping to become an actual state, right? Now, thing is, they're actually still a territory. As at this point right now, we're in 2023, they are still a territory. They have not become a state, right? And
Really?
that's important. Okay, so we're going to come back to that later. Moving on.
I don't think they're grown up enough to become a state yet, based off of this
yeah.
investigation.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, dingo attacks had been reported around the Rock campground in the weeks and months prior to Azaria's disappearance. There's a dingo. Now, they are actually a canine. So they're a dog, right? But they're kind of a little bit nastier than a dog. They're super duper feral.
Sit.
Feral, no. If you're in chat, no offense.
Worse than you.
Yes, and you.
Oh.
Now, yeah, so there you go. Those reports were really bad for tourism. So you know what? Those reports didn't actually end up going anywhere. No one really found out about the reports.
Dirty doggy.
Yeah. Now let's have a look at a bit of footage. So 17th of August 1980.
I brought Azaria up here with the boys, and while we were sitting here waiting for Michael taking shots of the paintings in the cave,
There she is.
pulled up just talking to the tourists and sensed something watching us. looked up and saw the dingo. And I spoke to the people beside me and said, look what's watching us. Despite the fact of their movement, and Regan, in order to see the dingo, was talking and calling out, the animal seemed to fix its eye on me and the baby the whole time. It just sort of made me feel a little bit creepy, as an animal usually watches movement in the vicinity. This one didn't seem to. It just seemed to be intently watching me and the baby.
That's her husband, Michael. Now, he was a Seventh-day Adventist minister. That photo was taken the day the baby was taken, on their holiday.
I thought I heard Azaria give a short, sharp cry. I wasn't sure.
Well, she hadn't been back very long, and Aidan said, I think that's Bubby. I'd heard the cry too, but I didn't take much notice.
I was there at the time the baby cried out. I did not hear it myself, but I did hear Mike and Aidan suggest to Lindy that that was a baby. I said to Lindy, look, you better go and check on Azaria. And she started to walk down here, as far as I know, and got halfway across there and saw an animal, and then kept on moving, but a lot more quickly.
I could only see the dingo from sort of the top of the shoulders up, and he came out in such a hurry. I thought there was no food in there, but he just might have damaged or mauled the baby. And I ran towards
Note the way she speaks. People didn't connect with her.
And I looked at
Yeah.
the carry basket, and she wasn't there. And
I can
felt
see
all around the
why,
table to
but
make sure that it hasn't dropped or somewhere.
it's kind of like
because
body
I could see
language
how he could get
analysis.
out in such a hurry, but
Exactly, yeah. She doesn't sound upset enough, right?
No.
Yeah. She also has a bit of a
there wasn't time to go and tell
disconnect.
people. I just yelled out, has anyone got a torch? Dingo's got my baby.
That's it, right? So from that first TV appearance, there was suspicion. Right.
Yeah.
And you can imagine the Northern Territory government really did not like the idea that a dingo could come and take a child.
To scare it off. And then it sort of registered on my mind as I was running to the tent, because I thought the kitties are in there. And when I got in the tent, it was just nothing. And I called to my husband. I didn't really couldn't believe the evidence of my own eyes. And I called
people
to
thought that,
Michael
Wesley.
That dingo's got the baby.
A cold shiver went up my spine. I thought, this is absolutely ridiculous. And I rushed into the tent, and we looked around quickly and couldn't see anything. I thought, my hat.
I don't understand
rushed out
that.
into the blackness, and I
My
felt
hat?
as hopeless as I'd ever felt in my life.
A weird thing to say.
well,
Okay,
you
so there
don't
was
know
an
how people will
inquest.
respond.
This is
Right,
an
and
historic.
No, you don't.
Michigan law, or making laws simple, I should say, MLS law. This is a very good point that, I've become actually one of the biggest things I've learned
Looked around quickly.
being on the YouTubes and the internet and watching trials with people and listening to their chat is how important it is on how people pick up on cues, these subtle cues, when really, being on the trenches and sitting next to your client and joking and having a laugh or something, people, it's so out of context. And people look at that and they go, how can people laugh on this type of thing, right? And it's like they're projecting. You're talking about like, hey, did you see that bug over there or something? Something completely unrelated, but then people project into it. Same thing, like it might have been her 50th interview, and she said the interview 50 times, and now the one little snippet you see, you're trying to pour all of your judgments into conclusions off of her demeanor here. And it's this, some people have different demeanors. I mean, it's like,
oh yeah.
This is why it's a problem. This is something I've really learned strongly by being in the audience, so to speak, is how important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's why I'm always a proponent of even the recent case of the YouTuber mom that was just charged with child abuse. Like, okay, we could talk about all the stuff that she put out on YouTube and all the stuff that's being said in the media. Let's just take a look at the actual evidence that they have before we start judging things. But it's a fundamental problem with police, law enforcement in general, prosecutors.
It's a problem with humanity.
Yeah.
It's a problem with humanity. I was talking about this. I forget which show it was on. It all runs together. But I was talking on one of these shows is how people are very good at deception. I know it was on Nick's trial, on Nick's Jodi Arias trial. You watch this woman and you listen to her and you know what she did based on the hard objective evidence. And then when she talks, human beings are just very good at deception. And we want to fool ourselves to think, well, I can tell because I can look and the way they shake their hand and the way they look and their face. But that is absolute garbage. The only way to determine truth is by looking at objective facts and comparing them against the statements through a process of investigation and a process, not by, well, I'm good, I've been at it, and I can, because people do not get better with truth detection through experience. It's only by that hard evidence comparison, but it's so easy. We want to think. We fool ourselves into thinking we can determine it.
That we can, we think we know.
And couldn't see anything. I thought, my hat. And
my hat. I find that
What
such a strange thing. I don't know.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was like a
hat.
Australian thing.
Okay, hang on. I just want to push back a second. Now, there was an inquest, right? The very first inquest was started into the suspicious death, basically.
Explain
so
what
the
an inquest is for us Americans.
Thank you, Gosney.
It was what? Sorry, what did you say?
Go ahead.
Explain what an inquest is to us Americans.
An inquest is like a coroner. You know what a coroner is? It comes along. Yeah, sorry, I don't know. A coroner comes along and looks into the suspicious death, and looks at the evidence that's there and decides whether or not, what basically like a medical examiner comes along and says whether the death was by human hand or how the death happened, basically.
Dingo hand.
And by dingo hand. But
there was no body, right?
Yeah, so they try and work out based on the evidence that is there, whether or not what happened. So I'll just show you what came out of that.
To the nation through Channel 7 technical equipment. Mr. Barrett is about to enter the courtroom. 7 National News now takes you to Alice Springs.
I doth find that Azaria Chamberlain, a child then of 9 weeks of age, met her death when attacked by a wild dingo. I further find that neither the parents of the child nor either of their remaining children were in any degree whatsoever responsible for this death.
Okay, so that part was fine, but just wait, there's more. Nice players. People were like all tuned in for this, like
really.
I find that after her death, the body of Azaria was taken from the dingo and disposed of by a person or persons name unknown.
What? How would you know that?
Persons unknown. Right. So next thing, yes. Okay. So that was absurd. A big deal. Yeah.
So
how
the
did you
dingo
know that?
Took the child and then they disposed of it.
And then they took the child from the dingo and disposed of it. Okay.
Exactly. So that was a problem, right? So the first coroner's inquest left that big question mark, right? And so,
that's absurd.
Yeah. So the Northern Territory government and the police were left sort of feeling very red-faced about the fact that a dingo could have come and taken a child in the first place, and that they were made to look silly, basically. And also they were left with this opportunity to keep investigating because a person was involved, right? So we have Operation Ochre started, this thing called Operation Ochre, and it was a series of events that just started this horrible injustice.
To make further inquiries into the circumstances surrounding the death of Azaria Chamberlain at Ayer.
Sorry, this bit's a bit low.
17th last year.
For the past few months, the Chamberlains and their 2 sons have been living at Avondale College, the town of Turrendong outside Newcastle.
Okay, so they were staying in New South Wales.
They received the news that their daughter's case had been reopened.
Just wondering what had happened.
Wait.
Okay, yep.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about this. Steve, and Nick, you guys, and
Yep.
well, everyone will get a kick out of this. The police record every communication they have, not only with third parties, but with each other during this whole investigation. And so you have them kind of scheming on their own recordings.
Yes.
That's part of what this is.
Yeah.
They should do
MLS,
that.
MLS
That
is
should be
helping me a bit with this.
mandated in every country, that the police recordings towards each other. I mean, everything is, you need that size of a ship to record thousands of hours of communication.
Yeah, it took a long time for this stuff to come out, by the way. But this is really interesting. So listen to this. Luckily, we've got this up a lot louder.
We know where it is. I'm just interested, that's all. Like cat on a hot tin roof. Yeah.
Hang on, let's just go back a sec.
We got the car. Oh, we know where it is. I'm just interested, that's all. Like cat on a hot tin roof. Yeah.
Okay, so they're talking about the car, the yellow Tory, right? So what's happened is they discovered that, well, they've been given the go-ahead to start the investigation again. The police are talking amongst themselves, and they've gone, have you got the car? You know where it is? Yep. I'm just interested, that's all. And they've gone, cat on a hot tin roof, right? So I don't know if you guys know that term, but basically it means that we've got a cat on a hot tin roof. We have, you do?
Well, you have to act quickly. Well, I've heard the term, but it means you have to act quickly. Yeah.
Have to act quickly. Yeah, cool. All right, moving on. All right. So they got the jumpsuit, and the jumpsuit had this blood staining on it. So what they did was they had tried really hard to find an expert in Australia who would testify about the way the blood staining occurred, but they couldn't find one that would say what they wanted. So they found this guy over in the UK. His name was actually James Cameron. Nothing to do with the director at all. James Cameron, Professor James Cameron, had a checkered past. He was known for some wrongful convictions, but didn't matter. He was willing to do some forensic examinations and come out and say some things about the blood staining on the and the actual cuts in the jumpsuit. So here he is, this guy, and he actually was sent this jumpsuit. The Chamberlain's yellow Tirana was seized and taken to New South Wales for testing also by this lady here, and her name was Joy Cool. And she took it, and the findings that
they removed the
made,
entire engine. They removed the entire engine from this thing. I don't know why.
Yeah, and the findings that she made were not released, but they were used to quash the findings of the first inquest. All right, so it was very, very sort of hush-hush what was happening with that car. Yeah.
I've got to ask you this.
Now, this interview here that happened. Now, meanwhile, whilst all this stuff was going on and they were gathering all this evidence for a second inquest, the tide was turning in terms of opinion about Lindy Chamberlain, because remember that the first inquest said that the dingo took the baby. So people were like, oh, okay, all right. But they were a bit suspicious, but they were thinking everything was all right. But then she and her husband were doing interviews, and they were really starting to come around to the fact that the police, because the police were leaking to the media, right? And
as they do.
The police were leaking to the media. Now, this is an extraordinary interview, right? So the police had leaked something to the media, and this is them finding that out.
Wait, this was never aired, right?
Being told.
Yeah, yes, it was.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
That there is no way a dingo could have taken your child. The forensic tests show that. What's your reaction to that?
No comment.
Is there some other story? Could an Aboriginal lady have your child?
No.
It was definitely a dingo.
He tried to blame them.
We stand by our story.
Where the clothing was found and the way it was arranged on the ground, it couldn't have been a dog.
But we know nothing of this.
Nor do the police on the case.
So directly after this interview,
Well, I can't divulge my source.
well, I'm going to bring them very shortly because
He wouldn't bring them out tonight.
And they walked
You
out.
won't tell me?
No. I can't do that, Michael.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
he should have done that, but he shouldn't have been talking probably.
Look,
But
they hadn't even found out that they were going to be arrested yet. Like, they didn't know how much the police, they didn't know what was going on. They didn't know that the police were sort of concocting evidence at that point in time. And so that was really kind of the first time that they were being sort of tipped off. And just like in an interview. So yeah, it's pretty nasty what's going on there.
The jumpsuit here has got certain heavy staining in this area. Also, this
Unbronzed Aussie makes a really good point that she comes off as very autistic, in my opinion.
There's something off with her, and that might have been part of the people's issue, the public's issue. But
yeah.
I was thinking it was almost like pre-Valley Girl, the way she spoke. Everything kind of ended in an upward question, and that was before that was really popular, right? This is 80, 81.
Before people knew, yeah, maybe.
And this is where I say with stuff like this, we don't know the baseline of these people. Like, we don't know how they normally speak, and that the whole judging based off of how they're talking and reacting drives me crazy, because it's like, but you don't know them.
We don't know.
Yeah,
you don't know. That's
do
just
they
how
use
they are.
dark humor to cope or what?
Yeah, we've got no idea. Now,
and also, you don't know how many interviews had they granted? How many times have they said this? How long, how many days have passed since it's gone? You know, what sort of emotions, roller coasters have they been through? What kind of fights have they had between each other? The unseen things about blame. What about guilt? I mean, there's so many human, then their innate personalities, which can vary greatly between individuals.
Absolutely.
And then you've got the camera that's lying, and the media that wants to paint, you know, like the 60 Minutes. Like, I always think about, who's the guy? He's like on the 60 Minutes, he's smoking the cigarette. He's like, what? Is it me? Is it me? Is it me?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Is she still alive?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I've got a little clip of her at the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In fact, I'm gonna, in a minute, now this is, you're gonna just fall over when you see this, because we're just talking about reading her body language. Well, she really pissed off the Australian people at this time. Yeah, she really put the nail in the coffin of her public image around this time, because she did an interview herself, and this is it coming up.
One more point too.
Yeah.
And that is that also this plays very much to the soap opera desire on the part of the viewer, because here you have a beautiful young woman, a good-looking husband with two beautiful kids on a family. They're sort of the ideal picturesque. And, you know, what do we like better in our soap operas and our tabloids than to take these people who appear to be perfect and happy and tear them down and show the world how ugly they are inside. And so this is what we want them to fail in, sort of this dark, primal sort of reptilian brain sort, that we want them down because I want them to be unhappy like me.
Yeah, exactly. So true.
In the yard, they'd yell things at you as they went past. If you went down the street, if they recognised you, the talking would very quickly stop. If they didn't recognise you, the person next to you at the counter while you were waiting to be served was discussing you.
We couldn't understand why people had accused us of naming Azaria giving her a name that meant sacrifice in the wilderness.
Yes.
It never would have meant
Sacrifice in the wilderness is what people thought that Azaria meant.
The reason why we chose her name.
Some have said that we paid people to fake her death.
There was
some maintain that it's an Aboriginal woman and rabbit's blood being sprinkled around the tent, and we knew about it and staged it.
It would seem difficult for a dog to get the baby out. I mean, the legs are
Okay.
still tagged.
This next bit.
If you've ever seen a dingo eat, there's no difficulty at all. Because you watch them eat the carcass of a cow or something like that, they never eat the skin. They use their feet like hands and pull back the skin as they go, and they just peel it like an orange.
Thought we might brighten your day for you.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, she's talking about in detail about how you would. She knows a little too much probably for the public, but she's obviously been concerned about defending herself.
Yeah.
And if she'd want to know, she'd research it. And she's autistic too, it looks like, so she'd have...
She talked about peeling the skin back like an orange.
But then you also get the whole thing about you educate yourself. And it's like, oh, well, you're defending yourself. You sure are acting defensive about this. When in fact, you're asking a question, it's like, well, I don't know. And obviously there's a concern. You're going to want to research. You're going to be more knowledgeable about this situation than anybody else.
And then that looks bad on you because everybody is like, oh, wow, how do you know all that?
Yeah. That interview there, people hated her after that interview. So that really didn't go well. And now that's helping the police, isn't it? So you know what? You remember that lady who was looking at the car? This is what happened next. The police are talking again.
Yes. We've got confirmed fetal blood on a coin, which is on a blood-stained area underneath the seat. And she has tested the coin and come up with fetal confirmed. Confirmed. Either the child was killed across the area of the console or was put there immediately after. We're too early to jump, but I think we've got it, without a doubt, in my mind.
Confirmed fetal blood in the car, apparently.
Was it a pinprick?
Apparently.
No. Splatters, sprays of blood in the car.
Tons of blood all over the car.
Tons of blood in the car.
No,
apparently.
Yeah. It was missed during the first inquiry.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Now they have it.
So that lady that they found to look at the car managed to find fetal blood in the car.
What is fetal blood?
I've never heard of fetal blood being any different than regular blood.
It's the same blood, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's less contaminated because they haven't lived as long. I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows? I know, but it brightened their day.
Is that the stuff QAnon always talks about?
Yeah.
Yep. And we have watched trials with covered in blood before.
Yes.
Yes, covered in blood. Was it Murdoch covered in blood when he was first arrested? And
apparently.
And about the splatters of blood everywhere. It's like,
yeah.
So there's Lindy and
Can you talk to us for a moment, please?
There they are being
Would
greeted
you like
by
to say anything
boo.
about having to return here?
We've got the Channel 7 helicopter just landed. Channel 7 helicopter just landed. It's all over the papers down there. Oh, mate. It was in the news on TV last night. God, fuck me then.
I love that. We did. That's such an Australian thing to say. Anyway, so the second inquest finding was death by human, not by animal, weirdly enough. And Lindy was charged with murder and Michael as an accomplice for hiding the crime.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. And there was a trial, obviously.
Expected to be the most publicised murder trial in Australia's history by installing a television link to an adjoining building. Mrs. Chamberlain will be 7 months pregnant when the charge is read to her tomorrow. the Northern Territory's Law Department called a special press conference for all the journalists covering the proceedings.
Look at all that.
Over Australia.
Wow.
Some are filing reports for overseas
Look at the
media
TVs.
organisations. For the next 6 to 8 weeks or more, the eyes and ears of Australia will be on Darwin.
It's fair to say this is the most fascinating murder trial in Australia's history because there are so many questions that haven't been answered. Then, like every other Australian, the jury in this trial will have to answer those questions beyond reasonable doubt.
Professor Cameron gave his evidence with the aid of videotape recordings, colour slides, black and white photographs, and photographs taken using the technique of ultraviolet fluorescence. He said the pictures taken with this method had revealed heavy and even blood staining around the collar of the baby's jumpsuit.
Yeah.
It's also scientific, isn't it?
Isn't it?
It's a modern technique where they take photographic evidence and sort it out with different,
Yeah.
This is all the latest, this is why you got to be very, people are they buy into this. Science says they're guilty, right?
Yes, indeed. And there she is. She's pregnant, turning up to, hello, me.
How's it going?
How's it going? Hey.
Yeah, not too bad. Just woke up very sleepy. So my voice is usually extra deep in the morning, so you get the special edition.
Oh, extra deep. Very nice. Very nice. We haven't really met before. I'm excited. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. Nice
And
to meet you.
I wonder if you know everyone here. I'm sure you know Steve and MLS.
I believe so, except for maybe Jamie and Dali.
Dolly? Yeah.
Jamie and Salvador Dali.
Nice to meet you.
And you would know Nick. And what we're doing is we're going through the Lindy Chamberlain case. Are you aware of it? Do you know of it? Do you think it's just a meme?
Oh, of course I know about it. I mean, who couldn't know about it, especially if you're from Australia? I mean, the funny thing is, like, it's been on like Seinfeld, it's been across the world. Everyone's known about this case. Everyone always thought this woman was like this horrible person, but there's new evidence to suggest that maybe dingoes did take her baby. Now, dingoes, the part of the story that kind of confused me was that it's very obvious that a dingo could take a person. Am I lagging out? Maybe.
No,
my internet might be dying.
You're good.
Okay. There's actually been a recent video of a dingo like biting a woman on the bum when she's at the beach, like sunbathing. And dingoes will actually drag animals into the ocean and drown them, much larger animals than them. So for a dingo to take a baby, of course. For a dingo to take a baby is very believable. Now the question is not in my mind: did the dingo take the baby, or did the mother create a situation where she left her baby defenseless, so dingo could do that? And in this situation, I would think that she would still be liable for the death of the baby, but. I mean, I don't know the particulars of what actually happened. Was she like at a barbecue and she looked away for a second and they came and grabbed it or something like that? I don't know that.
Well, she did walk away. There's no question about that.
But they were camping outdoors near Ayers Rock, out in the middle of nowhere, and people you don't expect.
So it was her intent.
It's not like Was there an intent? I don't. What's the motive? It's.
Well, it was a different time. Like. And also the Northern Territory government had created this idea that it was very safe there. So they tried to create this perception that dingoes didn't go near people. And even though there had been reports of dingoes attacking people, they hid those reports. So no, dingoes don't go near people. Dingoes are repelled by the scent of man.
But go check out the Wikipedia page called Dingo Attack, and they have a list of all the people who have been attacked by dingoes, going way back. It's amazing. It's like, this is people that live in cities and that watch television in their comfort of their home don't understand that wild animals are not your dog and cat. Wild animals are wild. Gray wolves were hunted to near extinction because they were man killers. Mountain lions, grizzly bears, these things kill people. These are man-eating creatures. So for somebody to think, oh, that could never have happened, well, you are living in a comfortable, civilized life.
I mean, additionally, like in a country like Australia where there's just so many dangerous animals, even Australians will make terrible decisions constantly. A big example of this is in Queensland. You'll see lots of videos of people going to the beach and there'll be like cassowaries on the beach. Cassowary is the third largest bird in the world and it's quite deadly. They're basically like velociraptors. They will like gut you if you look away from them.
But they look pretty.
They do look kind of pretty.
Yeah.
Of
But
course,
if you ever do,
Australian birds are dangerous.
if you just search for like cassowary attack, you'll see them like they'll attack. They'll like kick through doors. They're like really mean.
What?
Super mean.
Yeah,
one of
they're
them-
like these. They're these really fascinating birds.
CASSOWARY.
And they've got like these
any
talons.
animals or birds in Australia that isn't venomous or poisonous or dangerous?
There is one poisonous bird in the world, and it just happens to be it's kind of in Papua New Guinea, but I think it's also in Australia as well. But it's got like it's actually really funny because it's got like poisonous dust in its wings, and it's kind of like a venom moth if you like Pokemon. Like it like flaps its wings
like
and
a
like
pterodactyl, basically. Yeah.
yeah, kind of.
Everything I hear about Australia just makes it sound more and more made up.
Or
it's pretty cool though. You want to be here. Like the more you hear about it, you actually want to be here. Yeah, you do.
I will say running across a bear cub was one of the most terrifying moments of my life.
Running across a bear cub. See, that's the thing. Like you guys all talk about the mean animals here, but bears are worse.
Yeah.
Like as far as I'm concerned,
mama bear. No.
How do you spell this bird again?
Someone MLG and ML. Sorry, I keep saying MLG.
MG law.
Posted in chat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're very dangerous. There was a Cairns couple that died to them actually because they looked away. Because you have to keep your eyes on them. Like if you look away, that's when they attack you. It's kind of.
My God.
I wouldn't do that.
Just because Steve has to get going at some point, I'll keep moving on if that's all right. So just do you remember, that when the trial was happening, that Lindy was pregnant. And when that happened, actually, people were a bit sort of put out by the fact that she happened to get pregnant in like just before the trial. Well, she was actually 7 months pregnant when she was going into the trial, and how dare she? And they were saying that she did that just to get attention, basically, and so that people would feel sorry for her. Basically, she's a child murderer. How dare she be pregnant again? And so she would turn up to court every day, looking more and more pregnant each day, and she'd have this sort of very angry kind of look on her face. And
well, she's pregnant. Of course, she's angry.
No, and she was also angry because she's on trial for murdering her child.
Well, I know, but combine that with the hormones of pregnancy.
Yeah, well, there's that as well. So,
Mr. Barker put directly to Mrs. Chamberlain that she had taken Azaria to the front seat of the family car and cut her daughter's throat. Mr. Barker said a spray of Azaria's blood had gone up under the dashboard and that more blood had flowed down the seat.
That is
Mrs. Chamberlain began sobbing uncontrollably, and after more questions said, "We're talking about my baby daughter, not some object."
Yes, so that was what was put forward by the prosecution.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
But see, don't you love how detailed and how salacious it comes across when you make the accusation? You know, she held the baby down with a knife and the blood sprayed in the inner, and it's all this very vivid detail that there's no basis in fact at all. It's just springing out of the mind of the accusing prosecutor, and yet because of the salaciousness in the detail, it sounds believable. And then, of course, this effect that we keep talking about, somebody in the chat, I've been going back and forth on the chat, there's this effect that comes in where you want to tear down like the nail that's too high, right?
Yes.
Knock it down. Like, who does
Tall
she think
puppy
she
syndrome.
is? I wouldn't react that way if my baby was killed. I'm holier than thou. I'm better than her. You know, it's like it's a sick. It plays to all these sick human frailties, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Sorry, I showed up late, so I'm just going to jump in for a moment. And
sure.
So maybe I missed this, but did they say it happened in a car? Because my understanding of this was that it got taken from a tent.
Well, that's what she said.
Okay.
She said it was.
Yeah, she said it was taken from a tent. Yeah, well, sorry. No, yeah. So the original inquiry also confirmed that. The original inquiry from the coroner's office said yes, the baby was taken by a dingo and killed by a dingo, and then the police kind of pushed the issue, and they got a woman to basically test the vehicle again and again and again, and found fetal blood, whatever that is. We're not sure what fetal blood is, but found fetal blood underneath parts of the car. And that's where they came up with the salacious story that she sliced her daughter's throat in the car.
But the other thing is
it wouldn't be fetal blood because that'd be a fetus. It'd be the baby's blood. Yeah.
Well, there's no such thing as fetal blood as distinguished from any other blood, at least as far as I know. Second is that the test that they relied on evidently showed false positives with just like on all kinds of things. So it was basically faux science that said that there was blood in the first place. So this fact is imaginary science.
Well, it is, and it was disproven later, and I'll show you why.
Okay.
But yes, it was not. It didn't happen in the car. Absolutely not. But the prosecution found a way. They wanted to have her behind bars, and they found a way. And this is why I'm showing you this story, because this is such a miscarriage of justice. And even ChatGTP has it defines this as one of Australia's greatest miscarriages of justice. So yeah, absolutely. And that goes into that really goes to show you that it's just common fact.
And also, I hate to say this, but I have is present day experience. Let's just go that far. There's limits to what I can say, but I will say that we have medical examiners that change their testimony based on police today.
Yeah.
So the fact that it happened in 1980 doesn't surprise me a bit.
Yeah. And there is a recent case with one of the top forensic medical examiners in the United States, Henry Lee, who has been found guilty of tampering with evidence. Yeah. So
it happens everywhere.
And he's a professor emeritus. He's been teaching for decades.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's this lady, and this Ms. Cool was actually known of as Sergeant Cool because she was so in with the police. Amazing. That was like colloquially what she was called.
First of the 40-odd witnesses expected to be called was Tasmanian woman Mrs. Sally Lowe.
I observed her. From head to toe, there was no blood
Oh
on
my
her
God,
at
she's
all.
hugging her
And,
baby,
she
trying to
resumed
show how
conversation. And
loving
then
of a
the
mother
baby's
she
cry
is.
was
She's a
heard.
defense witness.
Three of us heard the baby's cry.
Oh, she is?
Yeah.
And it was just...
But the thing is,
well, that's the other thing too.
It's been 40 years since then.
It wasn't allowed to speak properly.
Gut-wrenching. It was like someone put a knife through you.
Yeah.
The cry that you heard, it was really, really horrific.
Now, you can imagine.
6 hours and 15 minutes after it retired, the jury finally returned to the court. The foreman was asked to rise. He was asked whether their verdict was unanimous. He answered yes. The verdict in Mrs. Chamberlain's case, guilty. For Mr. Chamberlain, guilty. Mrs. Chamberlain was then sentenced to life imprisonment.
Life?
When it came, the announcement took everyone across the nation completely by surprise.
The verdict came shortly before 20 to 9 Darwin time. The jury had filed back into the witness box, and Acting Chief Justice James Muirhead said to the jury, "How do you find the accused, Alice Lynn Chamberlain?" The foreman of the jury, standing, said, "Guilty."
What's interesting is that the jury had to disbelieve all the eyewitnesses that were there at the campground.
Well, they weren't allowed to testify properly. In fact, there were quite significant bits of evidence that weren't allowed in, as you can imagine. Now, let's keep this going for a second.
But see, if we did away with wrongful convictions, then what would we do with all this television media coverage? We wouldn't have anything to talk about if we didn't have salacious dramas.
No, I know. So that was the end for the moment, but then something happened. Remember how I said to you earlier that people were allowed to climb the rock at that time? Well, this gentleman here was a rock climber in 1986, and he fell to his death, sadly. Now, when he fell to his death, they went looking for his body, and guess what happened? They were looking for his body, Yeah, well, actually, dingoes did maul his body, but Azaria's clothing was found. There was a bit of her clothing that was never found at the time. There was a thing called her matinee jacket, which is a little, there it is, little jacket, little baby's jacket. And that baby's jacket was found next to his body. And this is a really important piece of evidence.
Well, of course, it's Azaria's matinee jacket. She was wearing that on the night of her disappearance.
Now, this is some footage back from 1981.
The investigation.
Michael talking about it.
Nobody knows.
The discovery
Where
of
it
a
is,
baby's
nobody
matinee
knows.
jacket has given new impetus today to calls for a federal government inquiry into the Azaria Chamberlain case. Lindy Chamberlain's lawyer, Stuart Tipple, has asked Northern Territory Police for access to the jacket and requested that no forensic tests be carried out in the meantime.
One of those feelings.
Yeah, she is being taken from prison to look at it.
Why is she?
See that, and I know I.
Why is she being taken to look at it?
To identify
it.
Yeah.
From prison, like.
Yeah.
Okay.
There it is.
5 years, half Irish, I think.
4 years later.
Sorry. 4.
She's looking at it. She's not allowed to touch it.
There is no emotion on my face whatsoever. I'm just looking at it.
Oh, no emotion. That means
wrapped around because I
it's not it.
desperately want to touch it, and it was like, no, don't touch it. But they had got better. We barely walked out of the room, and they dropped it on the floor.
They dropped it on the floor.
Jesus
Confirmation that
Christ.
it was Azaria's matinee jacket set off an unstoppable chain of events.
So Lindy was set free, pardoned, but not exonerated. It actually took a lot longer for them to be exonerated. Now, this set off a huge amount of crazy things that went on. The Chamberlain inquiry.
The police showed they had lost control of their objectivity and had failed to keep an open mind.
At least there was an inquiry into this.
And everything came out. Now, that is one of the eyewitnesses, Greg Lowe.
She was actually in sight.
He was allowed to actually finally say everything that happened.
Wow.
Mr. Ian Barker
This part's really
asked
cool.
him 4 times whether he was lying. Speaking in a quiet voice with his head barely visible over the top of the witness box, he described what happened. Roberta Lenny Blow.
Mrs. Judith West said that in her police interview,
Detective said the detectives didn't seem interested, but when Marty said he'd seen blood outside
Mrs. Sally Lowe, whose evidence strongly supports the dingo's story. Charwood
Now,
agreed it was his
this-
duty to pass on all information, favourable or unfavourable. But he conceded at the first inquest at least, the coroner was deprived of highly relevant information. This afternoon, another policeman, Senior Constable Jim Metcalf, denied expressing public hostility to Mrs. Chamberlain. Metcalf said he had never used words to the effect, "We're going to get this bitch."
All right.
Boom. Yeah, he never did that. Never.
No, not at all.
No, he never said that at all. No. He never said we're gonna get this bitch. No. That didn't happen. No.
Yeah, I've got to get going here, so
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later.
That's
Hey,
cool.
God bless you, and my fiance
Thank
is
you.
coming here, so I must go see my fiance.
Your fiance.
Fiancé.
Okay, maybe the dingo ate your fiance.
Make sure your pinky is up.
Hi, Steve.
Much, Steve.
Bye, Steve.
Thank you so much. Bye. Wow. Okay, well, nearly done, but we'll keep going. This is where it all comes out.
Evidence that Azaria's throat had been cut, saying it was careless and discredited.
Cameron's expert claims about the jumpsuit, enthusiastically promoted by the Crown, was key in the convictions of the Chamberlains.
Okay, so what was found was that a dingo can absolutely make those same cut marks in a jumpsuit like that. And also, it was found that what was thought to be like cat hairs that were in the tent were actually dingo hairs. So, well, what was proposed to be cat hairs in the trial were dingo hairs. So, all of this testimony that was put forth at the trial was refuted, and not just refuted. There was an independent forensic examiner appointed by the inquiry, and he completely disproved all of that stuff. So Professor Cameron, the forensic examiner, Joy Cool, all of this stuff was completely debunked. You can see the jumpsuit. Professor can't recall saying head cut off. There we go.
There's a lot that they can't recall after the fact.
Yep. Now, with the fetal blood in the car, here's what happened with that. Turns out, here we go. I'll show you. No fetal blood in Chamberlain car, forensic man tells court. What they found with that, and this is really strange, the spray pattern was scrutinized. The fetal blood protein that was isolated in the car was actually sound deadener, and it's sometimes sprayed in cars, hence the arterial spray pattern, right? So what they did, or what they used as a reagent to get this result, it was completely not what would be used as a reagent to get a result for blood these days. But there's a protein in this sound deadener that gave them the result they wanted to get a blood reaction, right? And because they said that it was, it looked like spray that would have come from like an arterial pump of a baby's, like if the heart was still pumping, right? Now, when they spray the cars with this sound deadener, they spray it kind of upwards into like the dash, right? Now, I think sound deadener is kind of like a shock absorption kind of material. I don't know if you guys, anyone in chat is, or you guys have ever had anything to do with car manufacturing, but apparently there's some protein in it, and they managed to make that connection happen in order to have fetal
It's such
blood.
a strange thing to happen, though, because you'd think that they would have DNA tested it and not just looked to see if it was a reaction.
Well, they didn't have DNA.
Well, it was 81.
Yeah.
Was DNA that recent?
95.
Yeah.
Okay.
90, early 90s.
I think the first time it was really tried substantially in like a major trial was the OJ trial, and that was what. Yeah.
Fun fact: the prosecutor Ashton in Casey Anthony was the first prosecutor to admit DNA in a criminal trial in the U.S.
So it's pretty far-fetched.
But what's interesting too, I wanted to say, is that they disassembled this entire vehicle to try to find something, and they found enough protein apparently to say. But also, did they ever explain why they believe it would be fetal blood, since the child is 9 weeks old?
No, and it didn't have to.
Okay.
You know, like people just believed it. People wanted to believe it.
I don't know if they had blood typing or they could identify blood, maybe the type of blood then, but
goodness knows.
It's very,
It kind of all just,
Nicholas.
Like, they made the pieces fit.
Yeah. Nicholas, you've been quiet.
Yeah, my voice is kind of giving up on me. This is hour 10 of streaming today for me, and
you've done a great job, Nick. You're holding up. You're doing well for the side. Okay, so moving on.
I'm here for the prettiness.
No,
you are very pretty.
Memes look very pretty. I do, must say. Now, okay, so this is a lady that we haven't brought up yet, but she was one of the forensic examiners that worked on the case.
Is that your mom?
No, it's not my mom. But she was one of the forensic examiners that worked on the case, and she was interviewed after the fact. And I feel sorry for this lady because she didn't realize what was going on. She didn't know she was part of a cover-up or a stitch-up. And she was just hired to work on it, and she feels quite bad about the whole thing. So I just want to play her little interview for a second.
No. You know, I wasn't sure about the case. I had nothing to guide me apart from what I read in the newspapers. And
So you had to rely on the newspapers to carry out your forensic investigation,
yes,
to write a report
yes,
for the Northern Territory Police Force.
yes.
So she relied on newspapers to guide her. No, nothing else.
Yeah, makes sense.
I have a lot of sympathy for
What
the
about follow the
Chamberlains.
evidence?
They were in effect accused of murder
And in
They
a
were.
roundabout
They
way,
were convicted of
you were
murder,
a
sweetie.
part responsible for that
in
impression.
a roundabout way, yeah.
No, completely.
Yeah, in a roundabout
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
Roundabout. Well, I mean,
Uh,
my bad.
kind of.
Sorry.
She's so young and naive. It's just,
I know.
yeah. Apparently she had 3 months experience or something.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay. And this became a joke, right? So, and I mean really a joke. Like all the newspapers, all of the magazines, TV, etc., cartoons.
Because
And
of
I'm going to show you something.
an
Hang on.
inexperienced.
For allowing me to do something that I had no idea of how to do.
Now,
Oh,
jokes.
yeah.
Speaking of jokes, this was like a skit on TV at the time, and these are called the Dodgy Brothers. I don't know if you, Meme, do you remember the Dodgy Brothers at all?
They sound familiar. I think I have, but
Yeah,
probably when I was
okay.
a kid.
Yeah, this is really a short one, and people in chat, you might not even understand their voices because they are really, really Australian. But the Dodgy Brothers are exactly that. They're the Dodgy Brothers, so everything they do is dodgy. And this is them talking about the Northern Territory and how you can fix anything in the Northern Territory just by being dodgy. So here we go.
Expanders, become a forensic scientist in just 5 days, and a senior government administrator in 4.5 days. And if you've got absolutely no financial skills whatsoever, we need you to run our Dodgy Brothers Northern Territory Casino. Yes, anything can be arranged in the Northern Territory.
Yeah.
What'd they say?
Yeah. So if you have absolutely no experience, and you can become a forensic scientist in just 3 days.
I got like that little part, and then I was like, oh, that's some heavy Australian accents.
Yeah. Anything can be arranged in the Northern Territory. Yeah. So pretty much. So the Chamberlain inquiry left the Northern Territory government red-faced. And there's a dingo going, that old scallywag got the rest of us a bad name. And reading a paper saying the dingo did it. Yep. Yeah.
It's really funny because I think that like this will sound maybe a bit silly, but in my mind, it's almost certainly the case. The word dingo is so silly sounding that I think that plays a really big part of this case. If you say a dingo ate your baby or something, or like anything like that, it sounds so ridiculous that it has to be like a lie.
Yeah.
And it's so unfortunate because if it had been something else, like if you'd said a coyote ate my baby, I think people wouldn't have the same reaction. And I believe coyotes are actually smaller than dingoes. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe they are. Or if a wolf ate, it sounds completely reasonable. But dingo is such a funny word. I think that plays really into this. Like a dingo, like because like even for Americans, I think like dingo sounds kind of like bingo. You know, got those sort of connection there. It's just so unfortunate. Like
it does sound
the case,
a bit funny, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know a lot of people that actually like name their dogs that, so it's just like a funny name, you know. And you're like,
yeah, agree.
Yeah, it'd be like saying if Poochie ate my baby or something.
Or
I was just Googling to see if there's a story about a kangaroo taking a baby.
Kangaroos do kill. I think kangaroos have killed people. Kangaroos are quite dangerous because what they'll do is they'll stand up on their back tails and then they'll kick you, and they have incredible force behind those kicks.
Hey, Gene. Dingo, bingo, mingo. All sounds funny. Mingo is short for flamingo as far as I'm concerned, and they're my favorite. I love flamingos. They're great.
Yeah, but no, I think you're right. It was the way she said it, what she said, what happened. And yeah, it was just a whole combination of things. And a lot like what Steve Gosney had said earlier, that it's the soap opera of it all, you know, right? So you combine all of that, And I guess from what Excited was saying earlier, there was also a lot of political stuff going on because the Northern Territory wanted to be statehood, and it wanted to show that it essentially had its own functioning government, which apparently sort of backfired on them, and things like that.
Big time.
The Northern Territory is not where I would recommend going for a vacation.
Well, that's where I wanted to go.
Well,
There are
look,
some
honestly,
really, really sketchy parts of the Northern Territory.
I'd like to see The Rock, but I don't think
Oh, yeah,
I could
Uluru,
handle. I'd
Are
like
they
to
a
actually see
state
The Rock,
yet?
but apart from that, no. Sorry, what did you say?
Are they a state yet?
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Are they?
so they still never became a state?
Oh, because they're a territory. That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Northern
Are you
Territory. Yeah.
Australian? Maybe?
I didn't know that. Wow.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where are
I
you
just
from, Nate?
checked. Dingo is the same size as a German Shepherd, but a bit slimmer.
Really?
Yeah, with
they're
a
pretty
big
big.
head. Really big head.
It's also it's
What, 80
Excited.
pounds?
It is domesticated dogs, hybrid with another species of dog native to the island.
I think another problem though
Dingo.
is that dingoes actually look very cute. Like it's very
They
when you
do.
search for a picture of a dingo, you couldn't imagine them doing something. They look a little bit like the Japanese Shibas actually,
I would adopt
which
them.
are just the most adorable dogs. So it's
Especially
like
as
there's
puppies.
so many.
The puppies
Yeah.
are adorable.
You know what's really adorable is
Aw.
baby emus. They're so cute. They've got like this
Oh,
black and white stripes like zebras. They're
Yeah,
so adorable.
I know,
I
right?
love baby
Until they
emus.
grow up, and then they're just nasty assholes.
I like the booming sound they make. It's like thunder or something. It's kind of crazy.
All right, so that left the Northern Territory really red-faced, and you know what? The forensic evidence was refuted by independent experts, as I said. Now check this out, right? The eyewitnesses finally were allowed to testify ungagged. Now, what I wanted to show you is this picture and this next picture coming up. They're photos of an actual dingo that were taken by eyewitness Greg Lowe. That was the guy with the glasses, half an hour before the incident at the campsite, right? That
So
could be the
cute.
dingo. That could
Oh, no
actually, it is a
way.
bit cute. That
You
could
would
be
never.
the dingo.
Doesn't help that you guys keep going. Oh, the doggo.
I know.
Doesn't help.
It's
Doesn't
so
help.
cute.
the case.
I know,
I
it's so
used to
cute.
have one that looked like that too.
I mean,
I
don't
know.
make him so cute.
That could legit be it. That could be the
That could
dingo,
legit
and it
be my
completely
pet.
it can, but that proves
Couldn't be this
that
one.
there
He's a good boy. Look at him. No.
Oh, look at
Yeah, and
him.
if I can paraphrase Richard Hogue from in his Lawyers and Dragons, if they're not friendly, why are they friendly shaped?
Good point.
Well, maybe he came close to the camera because he wanted to bite. I don't know.
No, he just wanted some food.
He wanted a
This
He
is
just
the
wanted
thing.
a bacon strip.
You know what about these photos? They were not allowed into the trial. They weren't allowed into the inquest. They weren't allowed into anything except the Chamberlain inquiry later, right?
Well,
So, and
I mean, it
and
probably
Greg
helped her.
Lowe
No one
was
would think that face
amazed.
would hurt her.
Yeah, he was like, "What about my photos? How come I can't? Why didn't they ask me about my photos when we were in the trial?" Wonder, right? Because there were no one wanted to know about any dingoes when it came to the trial, right? So yeah, interesting.
Aw.
Why
But
would
that could-
facts matter in a case? Why would that
Yeah,
matter?
why would
No,
facts
no,
matter? Exactly.
silly.
It's about feelings.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Exactly.
Yeah, no dingoes, no, because dingoes weren't there. They weren't going to hurt anybody.
They wouldn't hurt a fly.
No. So yeah, it was a bit of a witch
Miss
hunt.
Chamberlain
So
appeared to let the frustration and anger of 6.5 years overflow during the last hours in the witness box.
now we're talking when I talk about the witness box, we're talking about at the Chamberlain inquiry, right?
Mr. Ian Barker, QC, drew an angry response when he suggested her emotions in court were contrived, saying she appeared cold and clinical in television interviews when explaining how a dingo may have...
Actually, I just want to chat for a second about the fact that he's called Ian Barker QC. Now we have to call them KC, which doesn't sound nearly as good. Cool. QC was Queen's Counsel. Now they're King's Counsel.
Oh,
Yeah.
now they're Casey's.
I know. Yeah, they immediately. Like, I know. As soon as Her Majesty died, and it was like the second Her Majesty died, because I know people in the DPP. They got a memo sent out saying we now have to refer to the Queen's Counsel says King's Counsel or KC, and it's like, oh, really?
Wait, I have a question. What was just sent out?
A memo. Memo.
Memo? You might want to
Memorandum.
check private chat for that Dingo video because that is hilarious.
Oh, I posted in a private chat. I also put it in the regular chat too. A link of dingoes attacking tourists.
Hey, look, I would have done the same thing. Come on now.
I mean, honestly,
come on now.
I don't blame the dog.
Yeah. Is that an
It's more
island in
domesticated
the
than I
south
thought.
that is completely occupied by dingoes, but all of a sudden, no, let's make it a tourist attraction for locals? Yeah, that's a bright idea. Where there's 200
Is that actually an island? Is that actually an island? Dingo Island?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Dingo Island.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah, 200 dingoes. Let's have a run by myself.
Hey, look, in Japan, there's a much cuter island. There's a rabbit island. It's got 2,000 rabbits. Come on now. You should go there instead. That's a much safer place. Those rabbits will only maybe attack you.
Have you not ever seen Monty Python?
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. That rabbit was dynamite. Yeah.
Yeah.
That rabbit was so nasty.
The Jimmy Carter reference.
Azaria.
There was a reference to Jimmy Carter
Man
fighting
who has
off
made
a
up
rabbit.
all the available
in that
evidence,
canoe
Justice Trevor Morley
or
was
boat.
unequivocal in his conclusion, saying, "In my opinion, if the evidence before the commission had been given at the trial judge would have been obliged to direct the jury to acquit the Chamberlains on the ground the evidence could not justify their conviction."
Yep.
Wait, the judge tells the jury how to vote?
The granting of a pardon has the
That's
status
called
of
a directed verdict.
person involved.
Directed verdict,
And
yeah.
status
Oh,
they
okay.
had prior to any trial.
But Mr. Manzi says he was unable to declare the Chamberlains innocent or directly say that they'd been exonerated by the report.
Yeah, that's a problem. Okay, so he wasn't able to, within his power, say that they were innocent. He could only give them a pardon. So it actually took until 2011 for them to completely clear their name and have Azaria's death certificate changed to read that she was taken by a dingo, so her death was by a dingo. And yeah, so there was actually a fourth inquest in 2011, and they were given a formal apology. Really, it took that long, so 31 years. They went through that for all that time. It's crazy.
Well, it's not like it was anything important or their lives were, ruined.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yes, I'm bronze. QC is higher than a barrister. Now, what this teaches us is that across cultures and across generations, I believe, humans are inclined to judge each other. Isn't that so true, guys?
Mm-hmm.
It really doesn't make any difference. It's 40 years later, and we are watching so many things happen right now around us. Like, for example, what's just happened this year, and we've seen with our friend Zach, that so many people are willing to just judge one another without knowing anything about their cases.
People just love to assume something is true and then just pile on. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just been happening since the beginning of time, essentially.
Exactly.
People just like to have someone to kind of look at and point at and laugh or poke fun at or be mean to. And a lot of stuff just happens like that. Exactly.
And like I was saying about chat GTP, is it GTP or GPT? I don't know.
GPT.
But yeah, I tend to think that when you put something into that and it gives you like a kind of opinion, it means it's like the most generic opinion possible.
No, it's the most liberal opinion possible.
Yeah, oh, well, that too. And it said like one of the conclusions that it gave, it said it helps us remember the importance about this case. It said that it helps us remember the importance of justice and fairness for all. And it's like, well, okay. So if it thinks that about this case, then it must be that, all right, well, maybe we should look at it and go that this particular case really, really was unfair.
Who's coming for Dave?
Who's coming what? For Dave. Oh, Dave, the cops are after you.
Wait, so how long was she in prison then? Because
4 years.
Oh, only 4 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So she would have
Yeah.
actually been able to meet her second daughter then, because she was pregnant at the time of the trial. I assume
Yes, she was. Her daughter's name was
Okay.
Kaylee.
Okay. For some reason, I had the idea she was in jail for like or prison for 20 years or
I
something.
mean, she would have been if the dumb hiker hadn't fallen to his death. Or the
Well,
dumb climber.
and he, you know what? Like, he didn't die in vain.
That is true. He accomplished something
So
even in death.
Japanese people really love Uluru. They're like crazy about it. And one of my Japanese friends was actually Uluru's the Aboriginal name for Ayers Rock. That's what they're supposed to call it now, like Uluru. I always call it Uluru because I like saying Uluru more than Ayers. I like saying Ayers Rock. But they say Uluru in Japan as well, so it makes it easy. But she was actually one of the last people to climb Ayers Rock, because you're not allowed to do it anymore. So she like just got in there, and even I myself have never done it. I would love to go up there. I mean, it's not that big though. So it's just a big rock. I mean, I've been up bigger rocks before, but I'd still like to do it. But I guess I can't now.
Yeah, no,
it looks bigger when it's surrounded by the lowlands, right?
Yeah, true.
True. Jackpot Springs, yeah, that's a really good point. These cases we watch, the people say in LNC chat that convict them before the trials even start. Yeah, and that's why I thought this was relevant. You know, like I know it's an old case, and I know that there's lots of sort of more contemporary things we could look at. And in fact, there's even things in Australia that are more contemporary and that you probably will be interested in. But I think it's kind of curious to look at something that's sort of 40 years old, and social media wasn't around. It's a different culture and different time, but yet it's the same.
Yeah.
It's really
After the fact,
the same set of.
After the fact they are acquitted, everybody will agree to, yes, it was wrong all the time. Look at all of this. But we have contemporary trials. I think Garsley provided me with, this is recent conviction overturned that was 48 years old. And is now
I
acquitted.
just saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Look back even further. You
he was
have
out of prison.
in the American South, you have actual death penalties where a person is. It's a case from 1950s, I think. The 12 or 13 years old, convicted.
Yep.
And they were forced to. He held a Bible, that kid, all the time, claiming his innocence. They used that Bible because he was too short to reach up to the helmet. So they used the Bible to put him on so he would reach up.
Yeah.
And he was later on completely acquitted. But everybody in that trial, everybody around it said, of course he's guilty. The prosecution says so.
Yeah, exactly. We're nearly done here. Also, I know you need to get to bed soon, Nick. I'm so tired there. All right,
I'm
so
getting
this
Dave
got a
drunk.
busy day tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm getting Dave drunk on a boat tomorrow.
You are.
A good time.
On a
better
boat.
film this.
Awesome. All right, so this is just after Lindy came out of jail, and they're going to their church, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, which also was part of the reason why they went through so many rooms. Apparently it was a religious thing, etc. People didn't understand their religion. So here they are, and they're going to walk out and have just a little speech really quickly.
Her haircut was so much better when she went into prison.
I know, right?
No. Well, wait, was it that weird bowl thing?
The bowl cut, yeah.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I agree, but oh no, wait, no, we don't actually.
I mean, this isn't great, but
I
don't know what's with this shot here. Why
what are they
is
doing
he?
with their hands?
I
What is he
don't know.
doing? Jeez, it's like Joe Biden.
We don't ever want to see this happen in Australia again.
Mr. Perrin said his
She's kind of cute.
Not at all the investigation.
Now, what's happening here is the Northern Territory government never admitted that anything happened. Lindy released indicates innocence. You win some, you lose some, is the Dingo. And
lost myself a bit during my marriage. And
We're going to get a look at Lindy in a minute.
in prison, and when I came out, I knew exactly who I
There
was
she is.
again, and I
That's
just
her
wasn't
now.
Yep.
prepared to be anybody's.
There you go, Salvador.
This is who I am.
I feel really bad for her, but seriously, has that woman ever had a good haircut in her life?
A lot of bad haircuts in Australia.
I mean, what the hell? She's like 60 and has purple hair.
That's the style in
Well, that's
Osaka,
a
Japan. It's like the Osaka Obachan, which means like old lady. They always have purple hair. It's like they have short
Really?
purple hair. It's the Osaka style. Yeah,
know.
she's
Maybe
a she's a
blue hair
brand new
in the
Japanese
US.
culture.
That's a topic for a completely different stream. Old women and their multicolored hair. No, but it's a tragic. Now she did get a settlement with the government, right, for her wrongful incarceration.
How
I don't think so. Did she? Do you know about this?
She got a
I
few
can
$1
ask
million.
Jeeves.
Really?
From what I
I
understand.
thought they just
You're telling the story.
apologized and gave her a box of Anzac biscuits or something.
I apologize. Slapped her on the ass.
Yeah, like,
Dingo treats.
oh, come on now.
I watched this documentary. I believe she did get something. Let me see.
Look, and David, I need to thank you for your help with this. David, when I told him about this, he got right into the whole dingo thing and started watching
Yeah,
documentaries.
he did.
Yeah, and
She got 1.3 million in compensation, by the way.
4 years in jail.
Well, that's.
And that was in.
that was
and
in
that
the
was
80s,
in.
so it's a lot of money.
That's not too bad. It's like $250,000 a year.
Yeah,
Uh,
and 80s money is small, so
I mean, do they at
it's
least
not too
pay
bad.
for her therapy?
But you know what? Actually, Ray Martin and Mimi might remember who Ray Martin is.
Possibly.
He was a broadcaster at the time, 60 Minutes and the Midday Show.
Oh yeah. I recognize him.
Yeah, he actually said in one of the documentaries that people were upset with Lindy making money out of it, and even when she was acquitted, were upset with her making money out of it. But Ray Martin said that, you know what, she wasn't the one who was making money. It was Kerry Packer that was making money. And are we all aware who Kerry Packer is? He's a media mogul. So he's a media mogul of the level of Rupert Murdoch. So there was Kerry Packer and Rupert Murdoch. So same kind of level. And so he was the one really making the money, not Lindy Chamberlain. So because really, like, her face was on the cover of every newspaper, every magazine, and she was the one making the ratings for all of the
He's
all the TV
meditating.
shows. Me.
Quietly.
Hi.
I was all kidding.
I know, right? Did he just fall asleep on camera?
No, I think his internet cut out when he was blinking or something. But
Okay, right.
It
Because I
looked
thought
very
if anyone was going to
unfortunate.
fall asleep, it'd be Nick.
I know.
Yeah. Now I think Meme was impersonating Drax the Destroyer, being so still, he went invisible. And where is he? Invisible.
Hey, Shizzy, how's it going? Yeah.
he
Last time
saw
we
June,
recorded-
or Meme saw Jung in the chat and decided to bolt real quick. That's
Yeah, he got scared.
Is that what it was? Is that what it was? Aw. You know what, Half Irish? She does still cop a lot of ridicule. She says that there's still dingo howls wherever she goes.
You know what was tragic was her kids, the other siblings,
Yeah.
the siblings of
Yeah.
of the
Siblings.
dead child received
Yeah.
a lot of ridicule throughout their life
did.
as a result
They
of
did.
this. And
Did they open up a dingo rescue or something?
I don't know.
No?
But there was her kids had given some statements that they were teased all the time about this and everything.
Yeah, they were teased a lot. And you can imagine also just the trauma of going through this as a child and living with it your whole life. Like they were only just babies really when this happened.
Yeah.
And having your mum go to prison, going through all of the hearings and things, and friends at school talking about it all the time, it'd just be horrific. So that one night ruined their whole family. And yeah, I would actually recommend going to Lindy Chamberlain's website. I would like to find it and put it in chat. Actually, I will put it in the comments. So Lindy Chamberlain's website gives you a really good insight into the facts and the rumors that have been swirling over the years. And she's really, it's a little bit like Zach's website actually, in that it quashes a lot of things that people think are true, and then gives you a lot of information about what are the true facts of the case. And then it's really well put together. So if you're interested in it, I would say go and have a look at that. Whilst we're talking about Zach and talking about injustices, I would just like to give a shout out to Solomon and Jen, the entire Anderson family, and Zachariah Anderson. He's in prison, and I personally think he's been wrongly convicted, and he certainly didn't get a fair trial.
No.
So I would like to absolutely encourage everybody to go to his website. Mods, would you please pop a link to his Give Send Go into the chat for me? I'd really appreciate that. And
get wrecked gravely. Valhalla is always in the chat with that.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, thank you, Jean, for Jean XO. Thank you for linking to Lindy Chamberlain for me. You are wonderful, and her website. And yes, please donate and support the Zach Anderson. Here we go. Support Zach Anderson and his.
Yeah.
Oh, and Shelley is also giving you information about the dance that I do, which is Brazilian Zouk. Thank you, Shelley. Yeah, awesome. So I definitely, Zach's appeal is very important, and really hoping that we get some movement on that as quickly as possible. Thank you, everybody. Unless anyone else has anything to add, I think that's the end.
Yeah.
What?
No, it was a great video. I want to say that I enjoy. I want to say just I enjoy Excited's videos. I enjoy the way that.
Sorry.
That's okay. My internet's really sketchy recently. So,
no worries.
That's okay. We're actually at Grifting.
I'm on Swedish internet this week, and it's been horrible so far. It's been cutting me and dropping me.
We're at Grifting time. So, Nick, I don't know which way I am on screen. So, Nick,
you're backwards. You're in Australia.
Yeah, I am backwards. I think I go that way. Nick.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
I've been on
I
stream
don't know how to make him full screen. Can you please do that for me, darling?
What? Oh God. I'm a bit tired. I've been on stream since 4 p.m. my time, and it is 2 a.m. now. Please subscribe to me. I really deserve it.
I really deserve it.
My brain is mush. And it's been an interesting day. We're still waiting for the verdict in the Dinkins trial. We are having fun on Jodi Ari's stream.
Yeah,
we were appalled at what was revealed in the Murdoch press conference.
Oh, yeah.
And now I'm here, and I need to get to sleep.
Aw, thank you so much for coming, Nick.
We're Swedish, baby.
Really appreciate it. And MLS.
Hey, hello. Making laws simple, MLS. So I've been covering the Whitmer trial for a bit. I'm really excited to be here on Excited's channel. I'm glad that I can be a part of this coming up. I really like the ways that she covers these cases where she has sort of a pre-planned narrative. It's more like a history lesson as opposed to a bunch of people randomly throwing in stuff and getting sidetracked and derailed constantly. So I'm enjoying her streams.
Baker.
But if you want some other streams, except for my last one on Whitmer, which that was like a Baker stream, but check out Making Law Simple. And I'm debating right now. It's 8 p.m. my normal home time. It is 2:05 a.m. here in Sweden right now, and I'm debating if I want to try to get some sleep or maintain the Eastern time zone sleep schedule and just keep streaming. So while I think about that, I'll let someone else go. But there may or may not be a stream this evening as well.
So many going on.
Yay, thank you, MLS. You just made Law
David
Simple
needs
for us.
all the sleep he
It's
can get
time
because
for
he's meeting up with Baker and.
Okay, so.
Jamie.
Oh man.
That's wait, that's that meme.
I was going left to right, but
Oh,
Jamie
sorry.
is more
No, you
beautiful.
can go, Jamie. So go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, you're beautiful
No, it's
too,
Jamie.
Meme. But
Jamie.
Jamie, you're beautiful.
Hi, I'm Jamie.
Yeah. Donate to a Lash app.
Well, I just like watching trials, and I'm glad Excited invited me on because I agree with David. I was just going to say that too. Like, I love the way she sets it up with her little PowerPoints. It's really interesting, and I kind of just hang out with everybody, so I don't really have any channels or anything to promote. So, but I'm glad she's doing this.
But
your lashes.
Oh my gosh. And I wear lashes, so it's a thing.
Umbrellas.
We love having you around.
Thank you.
All right.
And
I actually have something to Griff this week, I suppose. So some people remember that we did a 24-hour stream. That was a fundraising stream to do a little fan-funded adventure in Japan featuring myself, Max Mura, and my friend BP. We got it fully funded, and we did the whole trip over 4 days. And after many weeks of editing, I've finished. It's uploaded. It's about 46 minutes. A lot of people have seen it already, but if you haven't seen it, it is available to everybody, not just YouTube members. And we're traveling from the Godzilla in Awaji down to Shikoku, which is a great trip. There's all sorts of stuff. There's Max Burr getting bitten in a slide. There's crab attacks. There's a scary scarecrow village. There's the really crazy penis place. It's got everything. You got to check it out. Go to my channel. Check out. It's called Across Japan. It's called Across Japan in a Cringe Van. Godzilla to Shikoku.
I'm so there.
It's really funny. It's really funny. I think you'll enjoy it. There's everything.
I gotta watch it. I started
sure
watching
you
it.
just
I
got
haven't
Dali.
finished it.
Well, now it's the whole we never showed the full thing. We showed parts on my Friday stream. Now the entire episode is up, the full 4 days in one video, and available to everybody on my channel.
Nice.
It's the last video I've uploaded.
You totally got Dali with the whole penis thing.
Yeah,
No, there's some crazy penis stuff in Japan. The place we went to, it was called the Paradise of Mystery, and we had no idea what it was. But the Google images were so creepy, and we walk in there, and it's all these like giant like penis statues that are bigger than Max Mura. There's like 20 of them in there. There's a giant stone vag. There's these like weird like raccoons that are like stuffed, but it's like terrible taxidermy, and they've got giant slongs as well that are made out of wood. It's insane. I had to spend so long editing that. There's like so much censoring. Like there is so much shit we couldn't show because it's so filthy in there. And it was like it's the sketchiest place. You got to check the Paradise of Mysteries on day one. It's holy crap, that was crazy.
Dude, you have a subscriber for life here.
And there's that. There's also
Dali
a
is
scary.
always-
There's also a scary bridge crossing. So my friend is afraid of heights, and we took him to a bridge that's made entirely of vines.
Penis?
And it was like 45 feet above the river, and it was the rain was just like coming down. So it was a giant like torrent underneath us, and it was like the creaky bridge, and the gaps in the bridge are like this big. Like your feet, like I got 31 centimeter feet, and my feet were almost going through the gaps. It's crazy. Don't bring a baby to that bridge. Like, otherwise,
So I'm heading over there right now to watch.
it's a good episode. I think
Dave's heading over there.
I put a lot of work into it, so I hope
I
that people
bet.
enjoy it. But
And can I?
it's for the fans. It's for all the fans.
Yes, of course you can grift now. Go.
I have good news.
Really?
Rebecca, sweetheart from the Kenosha court, has sent me the first exhibits I requested. I'm not that drunk, Lefty. Thank you.
Hey, Lefty.
I have got the first 20 pages of the manuscript of Mark Jensen about his life. So I'm going to be presenting that on a stream, and Rebecca is going to be mailing me his web searches. So
Oh my
we'll be
God.
doing that on a new stream soon.
That's gonna be awesome.
Yay.
Yes.
Jensen fun. Jensen fun.
And
Thank
we
you.
may get more of his
Mark
manuscript.
Jensen documented various shapes and sizes of penises, and they were all
Yes.
on display during the trial.
I'm still trying to find which ones those are to request if I can. I don't want to go like, hey, Rebecca, you're my bestie. We're friends. Can you tell me how I
would
can
really
get
like
dick
that.
pics?
Yeah, me too.
Or how about the hand-drawn
Got to be
journal?
subtle about it.
I know. How do I be subtle about that?
When have
How
you
do
ever
I,
go watch
what's
this.
the icebreaker for that?
Dear Rebecca, if you can't provide the actual images, can you describe them for me?
Yeah. Can you describe them? Yeah.
Are they
Look,
all
she hasn't
white?
blocked him yet. I thought
know.
she'd blocked him because
I
she
did
had been
too.
ignoring him.
I had to send
And-
the email twice this weekend.
Yeah.
And she
Look.
responded when I emailed her again this morning.
Yeah, he also kind of murdered his wife, but
Yeah, there
no
was
one's convicted of that.
See, the
But we're
thing
not
is-
interested in that. so much.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't care about that. Just his dick pic fetish.
Yeah, Gene. Like, this is the thing.
No, I'm not weird.
No,
I want
you're
his
not at
hard
all.
drive. I want to see all
No.
2,800 of them.
You want to see all 2,800. Of course you do. Of course you do. Like a normal
Amazing
person.
collection.
Yeah.
I know, glorious.
All right. Well, I need to thank everybody. Oh God. Hey Val. I need to thank everybody for coming, phrasing, and being here. And especially to my new guest. Oh, and Steve. Steve was here and he spends a good hour and a bit of his time, and I really appreciate that. And unfortunately, actually, MLS, can you grift for him?
Steve, well, yeah. So recently, actually, he's been remonetized. If you guys weren't aware, his monetization was taken down, but I think it was a technical error. It wasn't anything having to do with what he said. But that's back up and running again. If you were a member of his, you should be a member again, because I know I got an email that said my membership was being canceled because of the monetization, but now it's been restated. So you guys should be good to go. I don't know what he's going to be covering coming up. I know he's actually, I think he's streaming right at this moment.
Yeah.
He's doing
He's got
he's
Peter
doing his
on.
interview with yeah, he's doing an interview with the lawyer you know right now, actually.
Jean is so great.
That just
By
started.
the way, check her out.
But yeah, I'm not sure what else he's got coming
Wanna-
up, but he's back monetized.
Yes, cool. So big thank you to Steve for joining us today. So definitely he's a new guest here, and thank you so much. First time I've ever met you, and thank you for
Yeah, no
coming along. I
worries.
know it's really early over there
same.
in Japan. So lovely to meet you, and hope to see you again very
Please don't
soon.
think I'm weird because I
He's
because I looked up Mark.
That one was
Jensen
all
and-
embarrassed now.
Dali. Okay, so Dali, when you say please don't think you're weird, that makes you look weirder, right? So
Okay.
yeah,
that is a
just
point.
saying.
Fine. I'm cool.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
And
hip.
Nick,
I'm with
thank
it.
you for being here so late in your night. I know you need to get sleep. Thank you everyone in chat for turning up, everyone watching, and also to people on rewatch. Really appreciate everybody being here. Time for us to say goodbye. See you later, and don't let the dingoes eat your baby.
Ooh.
See ya.
Bye.
Ciao.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Mm-mm.